for 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stars. Hamas agrees to latest Gaza ceasefire proposal. Two children killed in Borno after bringing explosive home as scrap metal. Ex-presidential aspirant appeals to Jonathan over 2027 elections, and federal government plans salary increase for Tinubu and senators and other political office holders. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The World News at 12 begins with Hamas agreeing to the latest proposal from regional mediators for a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal with Israel, according to a source in the Palestinian armed group. The proposal from Egypt and Qatar is reportedly based on a framework put forward by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff in June. It will see Hamas free around half of the 50 remaining Israeli hostages, 20 of whom are believed to be alive, in two batches during an initial 60-day truce. There would also be negotiations on a permanent ceasefire. It is unclear what Israel's response will be, as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said last week it would only accept a deal if all the hostages are released in one go. The Israeli military's chief of staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, meanwhile said it was at a turning point in the 22-month war, with the focus on enhancing the strikes against Hamas in Gaza City. In a tragic development, an improvised explosive device IED, which exploded in Kunduga local government area of Borno State on Sunday evening, has killed two children and injured six others. The tragic incident reportedly occurred in the Kofa BU community when unsuspecting children brought the device into town, mistaking it for scrap metal. A resident of the community who confirmed the incident explained that the children, who were unaware of the danger, brought the explosive into town as scrap metal. However, confirming the incident, the public relations officer of Borno State Police Command, ASP Nahum Kenneth Dasso, said the explosion killed one person. He said the police acted promptly, evacuating the injured victims to the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, where they are currently receiving treatment. The police PRO further said that the command is intensifying community sensitization efforts to prevent a recurrence. In a recent development, the former presidential aspirant of the Action Democratic Party ADP, Matthias Babat Sado, has called on ex-President Goodluck Jonathan to contest for the presidency in 2027. Sado made this appeal today when he was fielding questions during a Monitor television program. He emphasized that with the current hardship in the country, Nigerians need him to salvage the situation. According to him, the position that the former Nigerian leader occupies today is the yearnings and aspirations of many politicians. Let's take a listen to Matthias Babat Sado, who's a former presidential aspirant of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, calling on former President Goodluck Jonathan to actually run in 2027.
When the people call you to serve, you see, the position that former President Goodluck Jonathan finds himself today is a position that most politicians are yearning for. And you see, the thing is, it doesn't matter. In fact, he demonstrated his he's not somebody who is desperate to be in government. You remember when he said his ambition is not worth blood of any Nigeria. And someone says recently that President Goodluck Jonathan lost election in 2015, but gained the people. And at the moment, I think that is what is working for him. Who will not ride on such kind of... yes, he has not declared that he wants to run for election, but for somebody like me, I am praying for a day that will come that President Goodluck Jonathan will declare and say, I want to run. Because, and sincerely speaking, I think Nigerians should, if those that have his contact, those that have access to him, should speak to him that, look, at this point, the other rumors around in 2023 that you are going to run and all that, there were rumors. But this time around, please come and run, sir. Because Nigerian people today, they need you. The things are, nothing is working.
Still on the World News at 12, the House of Representatives has approved a bill seeking to recognize the 37 development area councils in Lagos as full-fledged local government areas. If signed into law, the bill will raise the number of LGAs in Lagos from 20 to 57. The legislation was among 42 constitution amendment bills passed by the lower chamber on Wednesday. It was co-sponsored by James Abiodun Falike, representing Ikeja Federal Constituency, Honorable Babajimi Benson of Ikorodu Federal Constituency, Eniton Dolapo Badru of Lagos Island Federal Constituency 1, and 19 other lawmakers. The bill scaled second reading during a plenary session presided over by Benjamin Carlo, Deputy Speaker of the House. The change would make Lagos the state with the highest number of LGAs in the country, overtaking Kano with 44 local government areas and Katsina with 34 local government areas. Meanwhile, the federal government is considering a salary increase for President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, senators, ministers, and other political office holders, following a proposal by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission. Chairman of the Commission, Mohammed Shehu, announced the plan at a press briefing in Abuja on Monday. He described the current salary structure as outdated and unrealistic, noting that it has remained unchanged since 2008 despite rising responsibilities and economic challenges. Now,
Hello.
joining me to discuss issues like this on the World News at 12, I have Honorable Shadrach.
Hello.
Honorable Shadrach Uduagbai. Good afternoon. Welcome to the World News at 12. Thank you for joining me today.
Good afternoon. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you so much. Honorable Shadrach Udugbai is the SA on Youth Affairs to Godwin Obaseki, who's the former governor of Edo State, and he's also a staunch member of the PDP. We're talking about your party today, Honorable. There are reports that, with Atiku, a lot of Nigerians want Atiku to step down and support Peter Obi ahead of 2027, while others want Jonathan to return and contest in 2027. Now, starting with the talk of Atiku maybe stepping down for Peter Obi, here's what someone within your party, the PDP, had to say. Demola Olarewaju, who's the special assistant on digital media strategy to Atiku Abubakar, said if Atiku should withdraw from 2027 presidential race and endorse Obi, that President Bola Tinubu will sweep the north. That is to say, Obi does not have the political clout to sway northern voters. Is this something that you agree with?
Yes, it's something I probably agree with. First, you must acknowledge the fact that Nigerians in general, especially the young generations, will prefer Peter Obi, necessarily because the fact that Atiku, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Buhari, those are men who have been there in the foundation of the Nigerian democracy in this fourth republic. So they wanted someone, even though Peter Obi was a governor in 1999, the first set of the fourth republic, but they felt that, okay, perhaps the man has spoken strongly to a major concern, that is prudence in government. The man has proven beyond reasonable doubt that he has financial prudence and is not known for any form of recklessness or embezzlement, is clean, and the man speaks strongly to major of the issues and is not tribalized, is not cast in that ethnic cone. So it is easy for Nigerians, the young, to aspire for something new, because generally we just want a new paradigm. But why that is also true and relevant, we can't take away the fact that Atiku Abubakar is for what I like it to know, is the second biggest political figure in Nigeria after the sitting president, and he has a base, a statutory base that has proven beyond before now that cover is always him. Because if perhaps Atiku Abubakar is not running against the Southern president, haven't proven that the Southern president does not have the capacity to profile solutions to the challenges of Nigerian democracy, but he's going to come out bigger, stronger, and better now, even with the death of President Muhammadu Buhari. But that cannot be said for Peter Obi. The 5 states of the southeast are relatively small, do not have the requisite population. I know they stretch also to Lagos and some other prime places where you have Igbos, a major voting bloc who are Igbo population. But you see, the Igbo leaders are mobilizing strongly against their own, which is different from what we are seeing in the north. In the north, they have this idea of wanting to always project their interests first. But there's no governor in the whole southeast, there's no senator, no House of Rep member, no political bigwig who is routing strongly for the candidacy of Peter Obi, seeing him as an Igbo man. So for me, it's a structural problem. In as much as I know, from the 2023, we were able to pull out good votes, significant amount of votes for Peter Obi, but the votes were not so much in numbers that we're going to tilt the scale, make any remarkable contributions. He got votes from other states, better than other states like Lagos, Edo, better than he got in those southeastern states. So for me, that assertion is true. So what we are hoping in the ADC is that the ADC is going to give a fine combination of Atiku and Peter Obi, and that to a large extent will unite the opposition voices. Because those in the north will see that at least their son, Atiku Abubakar, is on the ticket. The man has the competence, the man has the character, the man has the experience, he has the political clout. I know there are many allegations against him. Many people have paid that falsehood against his personality. All of those will be resolved before the election. And Peter Obi behind him gives the Igbo a shot at having a vice presidential candidate for the first time since the return of democracy in 1999. They've never been vice president, they've not been president.
You are supporting
and if Peter Obi should run with Atiku,
like it was in 2019.
The power will return back to the south. We go down to the southeast after Atiku Abubakar completes his own tenure as president.
Honorable Shadrack, you are supporting an Atiku Obi ticket like for president and vice president as he was in the 2019 elections.
Very well. I see that as a winning ticket that will send Atiku, that will send Bola Ahmed Tinubu back to bodily crime.
Recently, a chieftain of the PDP came out to say that they have strong people within the party that they can present as a presidential candidate in 2027. He mentioned Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde and some other governors and ex-governors within the PDP. Now that Atiku has left, some people believe right now that the PDP is a carcass. In fact, it is just a skeletal frame that is finding it so difficult to stand, as the people who made the party strong, who gave the party that political clout, are no longer a part of it. What do you say to that?
Yes, I strongly identify with it. In as much as the damages are structural, but they are more of integrity question than structural. Because today now nobody now believes in the integrity and the sanctity of the Igbo Democratic Party as a viable opposition against Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Because on different occasions we've seen leaders and masters within the political bloc come out in public domain to endorse Tinubu. Wike has come out to say it's Wike, it's Tinubu 2027. The former governor of Benue State, Autumn, came out and said, yes, it's Tinubu 2027. Seyi Makinde to a large extent had positioned himself in that line before he came out to say he wanted to run. We've seen Ayodele Fayose come out with PDP cap in an APC rally to say, yes, we are heading for Tinubu in 2027. We seen from Osun State, Adeleke from Osun State, come out the public domain to say, yes, he is routing and supporting Tinubu. So on what basis will the leaders and masters of a particular party come to endorse their political rival and still want to present a candidate to challenge him? What they are doing now is they are trying to split the opposition forces, because they know, many of them know within the rank and file of the party that no one wants to be used as a cannon for. They're not looking for who they will bring from external. That's why they are shopping for Obi, that's why they are shopping for Jonathan, they are shopping for these two persons.
Oh wait, are you confirming to us, Honorable Shadrack Udugbai, are you confirming to us that the PDP are in talks with Obi and Jonathan? Because we're getting reports that the PDP is facing fresh internal divisions as the leaders of the party are split on whether to field former President Goodluck Jonathan and Peter Obi or Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde as its presidential candidate for 2027 elections. So who exactly is the PDP talking to? Can you confirm to us as a chieftain of the party?
The PDP does not have those options. They only have Seyi Makinde, and Seyi Makinde is trying to hold teeth for them just to ensure that the ticket looks attractive. Because people are not scrambling for it. He sends a wrong message to persons who may like to use the ticket. When they first of all came and in their meeting and they said they sold their ticket to the south, and Peter Obi should come and pick it up. Peter Obi knows that the minute he picks up that ticket, they will use him and the obedient to endorse Tinubu in the wake of the 2027 general election. And so when they saw that Peter Obi was not responding favorably to their demand, they quickly went to start rallying around Goodluck Jonathan. Believing that when Jonathan steps into the way, Peter Obi wants to likely come.
So what is Jonathan saying? If the PDP leaders are talking to him, what is Jonathan saying? What's his body language like?
But Jonathan has said nothing. There's nothing within his clothes. They are just trying to find the man's popularity. The man is not interested. He knows what the People's Democratic Party stands for. He has seen the recklessness of integrity within the system, and he's not going to fall for that. They just want to heighten the desperation to make the ticket look attractive. Jonathan will not fall for that gimmick. He doesn't have the resources to squander the national election in a platform where the leaders have gone to openly endorse the enemy. So he's not going to fall for that. And then Jonathan, for me, does not even have the requisite political balls to fight Tinubu, because Tinubu has shown some high level of political desperation, and then Jonathan will not be caught in that crossfire. So we need somebody who has the clout and the capacity. And then it's easier, far way easier, for you to unseat a failed southern president with a northern president. So the idea of this issue of Shadrack, why will you a southern voice be supporting a northern candidate? I've told them repeatedly, when Obasanjo did 8 years, he handed power to Musa Yar'Adua. Musa Yar'Adua did 2 years and died. Then Goodluck Jonathan completed 2 years. He came back and ran for president and did 4 years. If you do the math well, the South at that point in time had done 16 years of presidency. Why did not have done only 2 years? Goodluck Jonathan came back in an attempt to run again for his second term. And I, Shedaku Dubai, went to the poll and I voted for Goodluck Jonathan. What I did was endorsing a Southern presidency for how long? For straight almost 20 years. I remember endorsed 18 years South as against a 2-year Northern term. If I could do that, as a Southerner with all conscience with me, but when that stops me from endorsing a Northern candidate now, when I know the Southern candidate is nothing but a clear definition of failure. So what exactly are we raving about?
So you're saying you are overlooking this whole northern south rotation thing. Whoever can do the job should step up.
I said there is nothing since Bola Ahmed Tinubu became president. There is nothing I have gotten as a Southerner.
Honorable Shadrach Udugba, you're a member of the PDP. Atiku is no longer a member of the PDP. Will you still support him in 2027?
No, it's just that I officially have not declared for the ADC. I'm trying to mobilize more power to remaining.
Oh, but you're on your way to doing that. You're saying you are jumping ship.
No, we had a by-election in Edo State and we fielded the candidates in the People's Democratic Party. We kept faith with him, believing that perhaps we should complete the cycle before we now decide exactly where we are heading to. 2027 we see far away. So we are trying to put our house in order. We are doing extensive constitution. I'm also looking at the People's Democratic Party, the moves they will present and the antics. While we are looking at the ADC, how managed, because we speak for me, I'm in the opposition. Whether it's ADC, whether it's PDP, the position remains. And the task at hand is removing Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the clueless governor gave us in the Edo State and ensuring that we put in a new air of fresh air into our democratic space. That's for me what I'm fighting for.
All right.
It doesn't matter the platform, whether it's PDP or ADC, I'm in the opposition.
All right. You are in the opposition, but you've not declared for the ADC yet. You're still a member of the PDP. It was recently, about 2 months ago, when the Edo State Governor, Monday Okwebolo, came out to say, oh, Peter Obi should not visit the state without letting him know. We saw the APC chairman in that state, Jato, coming out to say he hates Peter Obi, and anyone who's a member of the ADC in Edo State should leave the state, as PDP is the only opposition that they recognize in Edo. Would you say this is because the PDP has fallen so flat that the APC in Edo feels that it's always going to be a walkover whenever there are elections? Also, some Nigerians believe that the conduct of the by-elections and how the APC swept in so many constituencies is showing how 2027 will be.
Yes, I know, but that is a great delusion for them, because what Monday Okwebolo did was this. The question I asked them, they did the by-election, there was mass deployment of violence, there were intimidation. Okwebolo started by locking down the businesses and shops, landed properties of persons within the state who were members of the opposition. The only National Assembly member we had was intimidated and bullied to submission and eventually had to decamp to the APC on the promise that we get a return ticket. Many of our members are under suffering. When they came into power, there was mass deployment of violence. They went to our state secretariat, they drove the party state chairman to the secretariat and said the secretariat was theirs. But because we in Edo State understand clearly that there's no need for us to match violence with violence, because when the 2 elephants fight in the ground that we suffer, we decide to relax and take the back seat and ensure that, because we know that illegality cannot stay in the front row forever. What happened yesterday, last Saturday, was just a reflection of the desperation of Monday Okwebolo and the cohort in the All Progressive Congress, because we know the characters and what they are positioned to bring out, to churn out. Monday Okwebolo was rejected in Edo Central while he was a sitting senator and wanted to run for governor. He was a sitting senator and a governorship candidate, but yet the people of Edo Central voted overwhelmingly for Aswe Budalo. Now to tell you that the man was rejected, and he still bears that pangs of rejection in the system. The candidate of the deputy governor, Dennis Idahosa, was also rejected in Ovia. Aswe Budalo won those 2 local governments that makes up the Ovia Federal constituency, and that's to tell you where they are coming from. They now have to deploy tactics of rigging, high machination rigging in other local governments to ensure that they are able to gather, to rig out votes that got them into office. Even when Monday was giving a speech on Sunday, after he welcomed the 2 national House of Assembly members that were elected, the one for Edo Central, the one for Ovia Federal constituency, he said that this 2027 election is just a test to show that the APC is being accepted in Edo, that the people say they stole their mandate, that they stole their election, but he has told that the people are trying to vote for them. After the courts, he won, he was declared. He went to Tribunal, he went to appeal, he went to Supreme Court and got 3/3. And yet in his heart, he still knew that the people had rejected him in 2024. He had to now wait for 2025 to deploy violence and the state infrastructure, the securities of the state infrastructure to intimidate voters and rig election recklessly. Let me tell you, in Edo Central, Edo Central has never produced a vote above 65,000 votes since the return of democracy in 1999. They have never gotten it up to 70,000. Guess how many the PDP, the APC scored in that election? APC alone scored 105,000. Put together, the total vote cast in the election was over 120,000. That is times 2. And this is a fair election where we know that low turnout of votes was occasioned by low turnout of votes. But they went in there and they rigged recklessly.
With all of this, how is the PDP prepared for the next election, for the by-election in certain states coming up in November? For election in certain states coming up in November, like in Anambra, there will be a governorship election in November. Is the PDP prepared for that? Ahead of 2027 as well. You said earlier that 2027 is still far away. Many Nigerians do not believe so, especially as continuous voter registration began on INEC's website yesterday. Nigerians are gearing up. How is the PDP preparing? Are they sitting down and waiting to see what other parties are doing before they also make a move?
The People's Democratic Party, to the largest extent, we are still preparing, because when I say people, I'm talking about the people and not necessarily the institutions itself. But we are still mobilizing, we are galvanizing, we are building structures, and many persons feel very comfortable to remain in their party. For us, many of them who do not, or we are doing in those states, many of them who are not seeking political office holders, who are not seeking political office, who are sending them to the ADC to get up tickets, while those who are not contesting can remain in PDP. What matters is knowing who to vote for when the election comes. Your party applications is relatively secondary. Because come to see that in this Fourth Republic, it is immaterial whether you say you are PDP or you are APC. Who you cast your ballot for is a reflection of what you believe in. So, but I believe that before that November, the ADC and the PDP will look at who is best. First, we are trying to put together a united opposition, and to see if we could both at least come out in the united front against the illegalities of the APC. What they are trying to do is to split the opposition forces to ensure that the PDP is active as a subsidiary of the APC, and use it to distract some voters who will think, oh, I'm still in PDP, and the ADC cannot stand, and indirectly going to attack the ADC. Ordinarily, the PDP was already comatose. The NWC said they were not going to work. Anyanwu Samdadi, who said he was national secretary, said was not going to resign on any condition. But guess what? When Atiku left the party and ADC was petted, Wiki had to release the PDP. The governors quickly went together, decided they went to have a meeting. People who in the NWC said we're not going to resign. Immediately they all resigned. The Damago and their likes, they all resigned and said yes, they are not ready to hold the Congress and allow the elections so the party take a fresh lead. That's simply because they now discovered that allowing there to have only one opposition is counterproductive to the interests of the APC. The People's Democratic Party at the national level are playing the card of the APC. They are taking instruction for Wiki, and as I speak to you now, it's funded by Tinubu. That means indirectly, Tinubu.
So the PDP is being funded by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu right now.
Yes, and also factions of the Labour Party, the Julius Abure faction of the Labour Party is funded by, and some factions of the New Nigerian Pro Party. See, the truth is that they want.
So the people who are spreading this as speculations, they're saying they're actually correct. That the Julius Abure faction of the Labour Party and the PDP as a whole is being sponsored by President Bola Tinubu.
Yes, I said that on good authority. You saw the pictures of when Julius Abure went to visit Wiki.
To visit Wiki, yes. But now we're getting reports. We're getting reports from a source within the PDP that Wike's men in the PDP are against Jonathan, but instead they are pushing for Peter Obi. So are you saying to those who are saying Peter Obi should not come to PDP as that would spell his Waterloo? Then they're actually correct, because why would Wike be and his men, or Wike's men in the PDP, be pushing for Peter Obi to be their presidential candidate in 2027 instead of Jonathan or Makinde?
The question we should ask is, why is Wike not on the ballot of PDP? For the first time in a long while, the People's Democratic Party has now zoned their tickets out, and the man who angrily worked against the party, mobilized supporters who said that he must be the candidate and the party must have. Today, it is a southern turn, but the man is not there. That's a clear example of that where it is an issue of treachery. They want to destabilize the party from within. They want to sink the ship while standing afloat on APC and PDP. So those men don't have political integrity. So ask them, those loyalists of Wike, why is Wike not? If Wike should pick the ticket, I will go back to PDP and vote for Wike. If Wike is not on the ballot, Wike is not buying the form, Wike does not win, then I have no business in the People's Democratic Party.
All right, then. Let's quickly move on from this conversation because of our time. The federal government is reportedly planning a salary increase for President Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, senators, and other political office holders. Now, the chairman of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Mohammed Shehu, announced this, saying the president currently earns 1.5 million naira every month, while ministers receive less than 1 million. He said these figures fall short short of what is appropriate for such high offices, especially when compared with the much higher salaries of some agency heads and the governor of the CBN. He's saying the governor of CBN earns higher than the president, earns higher than senators, and it should not be so. But minimum wage is still 77,000 naira on a Shadrach Kutubai.
You know, when people come out and they make these business allegations of trying to cite the salaries of executive office holders, I just laugh. The man who says earns 1 million naira in a month. In a month, he spends over 2 billion traveling around the world. So what exactly is wrong with us? Are we fools? Are we cows? When they come out and make this kind of business association, it's irritating. The same man who earns 1 million naira a month just completed sharing over 400 billion in cash transfers to persons whose name no media coverage, and now they are preparing to share another 54 billion conditional cash transfers to people in the north and in the south on the basis of we have a social register that we need to help people, and we are sending 75,000 to them independent. So when they make these assertions, it may not look as though Nigerians are gullible, maybe because all of us are illiterate or we have no political consciousness. I agree that the average political consciousness of Nigerian is low, but that does not make us inherently stupid. We are not interested so much in the political legalities that occur these days, but that does not mean that we will swallow every dick and that is being shown that for us. The man should let us know how much is voted into the office of the presidency that is being used to cater for his allowance. Someone that earns $1 million is driving a car worth almost $1 billion. Did you not ask him, how will you be earning 1 million as salary, and yet you are driving a car estimated to worth 1 billion? You have private jets that is in millions of dollars. So that man should just be kept in one corner. Yeah, what he's saying has no anchor on reality. If he likes to increase his salary to 10 million to 30 billion, that's his business. That thing has no reflection on governance or good governance of Nigerian public. It's just an attempt to swindle Nigerians and also Nigeria. It's a gullible, it's a ploy. All we are seeing is the answer of Jacob or the voice of Esau. It's trickery.
The problem here, Honorable Shadrach, is so many Nigerians have been talking about, excesses of the government and the high cost of governance in Nigeria. We've seen situations where cars are bought and then shared to lawmakers, houses are built for the judges, all of this on the taxpayers' dimes. Is it that this current administration is totally deaf to the cries of Nigerians that minimum wage is still at 70,000, while we are complaining that the president is being paid 1.5 million? Now, this is the president that definitely had his own things that he was doing that's giving him money before he went there. He said he does not need Nigerians' money, but we're talking about paying him more right now.
Now, when you talk about the presidency being deaf, there's a better word like more than deaf. That is it. They are heartless. They severe their hearts against every form of hardship. How can I explain to myself that when we are like when Buhari, who was known to be an ethnic jingoist, was president, there was insecurity in Nigeria, in the northern borders and in the whole of Nigeria, and we are taught that when a Satana comes into power, hopefully because Buhari was on the ethnic, was a Fulani from the ethnic, the northern extract was a Muslim, was a diehard jihadist. He could not move against this insecurity as he would have loved to, because he considers most of them as people. We now give power to the strongest political godfather in the south, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He goes to power, and in 2 years, the number of people that have been killed from insecurity is more than the people that were killed in 8 years tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari. How do I explain and reconcile that? How do I explain that the money the man has borrowed within the period of 2 years is more than the one the so-called Akpe Buhari borrowed in 8 years? How can I explain that the man in office, all of the indices of development is counterproductive, is negative? We are now hoping that it takes us to where we were when President Muhammadu Buhari left office. So when there is any negative attribute, you choose to classify this government, you are never even correct. It's a near approximation of who they really are. Like I said, the crime and criminality of the APC is as described as the kingdom of heaven. Just when the Bible says you cannot imagine how beautiful the kingdom of heaven is. It has never entered the thought of man. So also we cannot begin to conceptualize the crime and criminality, the illegality of this government, because the minute you think they are corrupt, be rest assured, they are 5 steps ahead of you. So the man has no bearing. That is why I am very concerned. In as much as I would love Peter Obi, the man's language disposition, I believe that removing Tinubu is a bigger business.
And Obi
than
does not
getting
have what it takes to do that on his own. Some people
No,
are
he does
asking,
not. He
what
does not.
if, so there is, in no words, there's no way anybody can think of Obi being the presidential candidate, maybe for the ADC, PDP, any party he decides to go with, or the Labour Party, or right now in the ADC, and Atiku being his vice. Like, that's not considerable, right? Because Atiku has always wanted to be a president.
Atiku was vice before. I was vice for 8 years. You can't imagine who's vice to be vice again. I was president. I brought you from political view and made you vice. You gave. How can I say a man should go back and be vice? I don't understand that analysis. How can Atiku be vice again? They will swear vice. We have 16 years as vice.
Or be a godfather and push Peter Obi to the forefront. You're saying even if Atiku decides to play a godfatherly role in the ADC to Obi, he cannot win. He cannot sway the northern votes.
I cannot tell my mouth and tell somebody to be a godfather. Then tomorrow, when Obi now goes to the parlor of Atiku to go and be collecting instruction, how will I react to that? I will say it's his godfather. That thing needs to be expunged from the Nigerian lexicon. It does not exist. I will never subscribe to political god for that reason. Those men are big enough to erode themselves into power. And if you cannot do it, either you're willing to support or not support, you can't be a godfather. If he goes and as they went to 2023, both of them went, and the two votes they had is bigger and better than the one Tinubu be used in becoming governor. We are hoping that when they collaborate together, and of course, a former vice president cannot deputize a former governor. It doesn't work that way. Atiku Abubakar was a governor. He won the right to become governor of Adamawa before he was taken from that position and made deputy governor or made the vice president. So there's no basis on which I should could buy. And I know that the votes that Atiku Abubakar will bring to the ballot in 2027 will far outweigh the votes Atiku will bring it. So why will I say the man should stoop low? And of course, Atiku Abubakar
you just confirmed his votes will outweigh Atiku's votes. Doesn't that mean Atiku needs Obi more than Obi needs him?
No. When you say Atiku needs Obi more than Obi needs him, it's a matter of two of them can't make it, but one is bigger than the other. Atiku is bigger than Peter Obi. So even if two of them runs on different platforms with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Atiku will still emerge bigger and better than Peter Obi.
All right, then. You spoke about insecurity. Let's quickly talk about it for a moment. It's a very tragic development where two children who went scavenging actually brought home an IED as a scrap, thinking it was scrap metal. They dug it out of the ground and took it home, believing it's scrap metal and they'll sell it. But in one way or the other, the thing exploded and these two children died and 6 other people were injured. There are so many layers to this, from poverty to illiteracy to insecurity of this IED being buried in the ground in the first place in areas that are inhabited by civilians, and the children can go and dig it out from there. Then the illiteracy of not knowing what that is, and also the poverty that is pushing them to go and scavenge for scrap metal to sell in order to feed in the first place. Is this just the failure of government in the area of securing the lives of people, the failure of government in orientation for people in these insecure areas to know what is harmful to them and what is not?
I wouldn't want to say it's the issue of ignorance or poor education that the children not to have understood what an IED was, or they are saying a small grenade they will identify it. It's way out of their knowledge. So the issue of ignorance and poor knowledge or on the part of the children is for me is inconsequential. We are talking about the poor security infrastructure. There's mass proliferation of small and light weapons in the north. All the borders are porous. It's clear. There are over 150 parts that you can drive from Nigeria to Niger without any form of immigration or customs officer marking the borders. People stroll with their cows, they stroll with different weapons. And when Nigerians go abroad to look for search for greener pasture, there is that criminals and bandits in the Niger, the Chadians, and those share the public come to Nigeria to come and search for greener pastures. Of course, there's the issue of Nigeria being under policed. The security para-personnel we have are in poor numbers. Nigeria today are ranking over 230 million persons. But the security we have is just barely over 1 million. And majority of them are guiding politicians, political office holders, political institutions, and government officers. Only a microcosm, a small few, is left to superintend over the security affairs of the Nigerian people. And of course, I do not want them to work with such many of them are poorly funded, many of them are poorly, the morale is low. Imagine you being a police officer working to defend the security of the place, and you come the next day and you see your boss who retired 2 years ago wearing black and protesting for his pension not being paid, the man looking very poor, poorly kept and poorly staffed. I want to be your morale. What will not be your intention as a sitting officer is to steal, to lose, to ensure that you do not be like that man who is not crying, your former boss. So the morale is low and dampened. There's the issue of community policing. I tell people, when you take a northerner, bring him down south to come and do policing, he does it for pecuniary purpose only. That is to say, he does it for the reward they will pay, for the salary we earn. But if you take a Yoruba man, put him in a Yoruba state, this is your village, begin to secure your village, it becomes very personal. He sees as a calling to defend his father's legacy, his name and entitlement. He knows it's not just his land, but the land he will leave for his children. At that level, it becomes a personal engagement. So the idea of state policing for me is still a way, because that state policing will further deepen the connection of community interactions and the quality of intelligence gathering. How can I be guarding my village now, and somebody will not pay me money to send my village to Fulani so they will come and kill my uncles, my aunties, and I will not join them and do burial? It does not work. So the idea of information, poor investigation, or the leaking of information is because the security officers, the security agencies do not identify with this village as their own. And the question of nationhood, they say, if you preach the issue of community policing on this axis, that means every tribe will now be securing themselves. I say yes, because security and welfare is the primary purpose of government, and security comes first. We first have to make sure that we are alive before we begin to talk about nationhood. Because our Papa said it in the senior speech, that Nigeria is a mere geographical expression. It has nothing like Nigerians, as we have in British or Welsh. Yes, we have Yorubas, we have Igbos, we have Ijos, we have the Benin, but they are not Nigerians, because the Nigerians see themselves through that ethnic prism. If that is what we are, we cannot strip our skin away from those ethnic bias that we've inherited for donkey years, but we can utilize it to solve our security challenges so that we can begin to prosper as a people. If the Benin are prospering as Benin, the Yorubas are prospering as Yorubas, the Igbos are prospering as Igbos, then what else is left? Nigeria is prospering. When we are trying to force this unholy marriage under the guise of one security infrastructure, it doesn't work. We reserve the military, we reserve the air force and all of that, but the police should be localized. And then that will allow them, we enhance our most people naturally we want to engage for the purpose of, let me protect my people. For them, it now becomes personal and not primarily motivated by money. So all of those things are there. If you still leave all of those aspects, they say a gun and a bullet can end a terrorist. But we take more than that to end terrorism. We have to go back to address the root cause of these issues. We have to go and look at the issue of education, have to look at the issue of poverty, and the issue of unemployment. All of those parameters that in the poor justice system. Because it's when people cannot go to courts of competent jurisdiction to assess justice that they're not going to self-help and begin to fight communal clashes. And all of this ethnic war. So for me, there's nothing of ignorance on the part of those children. It's the failure of the Nigerian security architecture to offer security to the Nigerian people, the porousness of our borders, and the under-policed nature of the Nigerian society.
Quite unfortunate on that aspect. Before you go, one more question on Nigerian politics. The 2027 elections are almost upon us, even though it may seem far away. INEC is gearing up. Political parties are gearing up. What would you say would be your concluding thought to the Nigerian people ahead of 2027?
Nigerian people need to understand that at an average, the average Nigerian does not have good political education. And even this democracy that he knows is not what democracy ought to be. What we see now is what democracy has become. For you to know what democracy ought to be, you have to now revert back to the books. And not many Nigerians are disposed. Ordinarily, democracy is a system of government that empowers the people. It is people-centered, people-focused, people-oriented. But when you now give power to the people, and the people are majorly illiterate, the people are not politically conscious, it is hard for that system of governance to now function if the people do not know their role in democracy. I say this to let you know that it is hard, because what we've seen in recent times is that even the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, has been totally destabilized, reduced, beaten to a pulp. We've seen that the police are just tools. They are pawns in the hand of the executive arm of government. Any ruling for the work for the ruling party, and the might is not right. Whoever owns the might is right in enforcing it. We've seen that the legislature has been reduced to nothing. Those ones, they don't have the no shame left. Anything that is in line with the presidency, they endorse. We've seen that the judiciary has not been reduced to where judges search the actual states of judgment, especially when it's political coloration. They sell it. We see judgment that is not a reflection of justice. We see people focus. Judgment that focus on technicalities and trivialities rather than the legality of the matter. We've seen all of this. So what is now left is that Nigerian people must rise to the occasion. We cannot say because we found ourselves in this bad position that we must not rise and fight. The ballot is signed. Of course, this by-election is not a reflection of what can happen in 2027 because there was deployment, mass concentration of forces. And that concentration of forces will not be possible in 2027 because voting will be taking place simultaneously in the hundreds of thousands of polling units. Where they get us every single time is that they now concentrate forces on the local government collation centers. Whereas we have finished our collation at the ward, when it's now transmitted to the local government, they now begin to mutilate the
You know,
figures.
Honorable Udubai, talking about that, the House of Reps has passed a bill to increase Lagos local government from 20 local governments to 57 local governments. That is, the 37 LCDAs will now be incorporated to become local governments.
No, what that thing is that what that thing tells you is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his plan to develop Nigeria, only wants to develop Lagos. All the trillion naira, billion naira projects, they are all on Lagos. Is it the coastal Calabar Coastal Highway is in Lagos? The 712 billion naira used in renovation of the airport is in the Terminal A, Muritala Mohammed Airport is in Lagos. Is it the use of 3 trillion, proposed 3 trillion that will be used in working on the bridge is in Lagos? Is it the new tax reforms? All those tax reforms they wrote, they all are supporting Lagos economy. There is nothing Tinubu does that is not linked to the growth and prosperity of Lagos. So if you see the Lagos Assembly saying that they need more local governments in the area, it's because Tinubu wants to make a country out of Lagos to the detriment of the Nigerian people. And after he does all of those economic reforms, political reforms in this first tenure, in the second tenure, he will now reduce Nigeria to its political hegemony, just as he did in Lagos, where after becoming governor, he has dictated clearly who the next governor will going to come. So when he finishes as president, even if you want to be a governor in Zamfara, in Bonu, in Kano or Kaduna, you have to come to Bodilon with cap in hands, on your knees, crawling and begging for political support. Because by the time he pulls her neck in your pocket and puts the share in the other pocket, your case is done and sealed. Is a fait accompli. So that's why, for me, it's not just fighting this government, I'm fighting for the salvation of the future. Because I know that this man is the most undemocratic political element that Nigeria has ever seen since the return of democracy in 1999. And we must rise as a nation to put an end to him. And no matter the cost, we have to, because people who are dying so far, 200 people died in Benue for insecurity. If they are dead to enthrone a better and more prosperous democracy, their death won't be for waste. So when they now begin to say, let us defend our vote, is what the fight and every ounce of strength that we're putting into it.
Thank you so much.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a disaster. Nigerian people must not give up. They must rise to the occasion and they must engage and make meaningful contribution in that direction.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Shadrach Udubai. We do appreciate you for joining us on the World News at 12 this afternoon. We hope when we call on you next time, you'll join us as well.
Very available. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much and have an amazing day. You have been listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM for the analysis segment. We've been speaking with Honorable Shadrach Udubai, who's the SA on Youth Affairs, to Godwin Obaseki, former governor of Edo State. Right now, we'll be taking the news from the capital city from our sister station, Voice of the People 96.1 FM, Abuja.
Thanks for staying with us. These are the latest developments from the nation's capital. I am Nkamiang John. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has reaffirmed its commitment to clearing illegal settlements and shanties harboring criminals in Abuja. The Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications, Larry Olayinka, said security threats from parts of Durumi and Area 1 remains worrisome, citing robbery, carjacking, and drug peddling. He noted that a committee set up by the minister, Nyesom Wike, identified the shanties as operational bases for kidnappers and other criminals. Over 120 suspects have been arrested in recent raids. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has inaugurated vetting teams to accelerate land title regulation across the 6 area councils. The Director of Land Administration, Chijoke Nwaweze, said the initiative will give thousands of residents in mass housing schemes official titles. The project, under the Accelerated Area Council Title and Sectional Title Reassurance Scheme, is part of President Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. Local contractors in Abuja have staged a protest at the residence of Minister Nyesom Wike, demanding payment for contracts said to be worth over 5 billion naira. The contractors, some claiming unpaid bills for nearly 2 years, appealed to direct talks with the minister, but the FCTA dismissed the claims, insisting that Wike never awarded contracts worth that amount. A major housing development, the Abuja Airport Garden City, is set to provide homes for over 3,000 residents. The project by First Rotec Group promises modern infrastructure, including 24 hours electricity, high-speed internet, schools, hospitals, and security facilities. Chairman Austin Ogujiofo said the development already approved by the FCT authority will be fully planned smart city strategically located between the airport and the Central Rail Station. More than 3,500 candidates have taken the 2025 entrance examination into FCT Science and Technical Schools. Director of the Education Resource Center, Dr. Nemat Abdurrahman, said the process was transparent, merit-based, and closely monitored to prevent malpractice. She added that the provisions were made for special needs candidates while security agencies maintained order across the 5 centers. Those are the latest developments across the nation's capital. I am Kamyang John.
And that was the news from our sister station in Abuja, Voice of the People, 96.1 FM Abuja. You have been listening to the world news at 12. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that Hamas has agreed to latest Gaza ceasefire proposal. 2 children killed in Borno after bringing explosive home as scrap metal. Ex-presidential aspirant appeals to Jonathan over 2027 elections, and federal government plans salary increase for Tinubu senators and other political office holders. And that is a wrap on the world news at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Coming up shortly will be Matters.